everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful day and enjoying your Sunday. It is laundry day for me, and we're doing some decluttering, so I'm hoping to do a little bit more of that today. It's just hard letting go, you know. And this next chapter that I'm going to read, this is our last chapter in Love Heals. Let me show you the photo real quick. If I can get that up here. I love that. That's like that right there is the place that brings me so much peace, a place like that. So this chapter is called Love Heals Past Our Fears, Walking Through Anxiety. And I think about, you know, our decluttering process. A lot of that is anxiety inducing for me because there's a lot of, oh my goodness, what if I need that? What if I throw that away and I need it? What if, I don't know, like I can never buy this thing again? What if I don't have enough clothes? If I get rid of the clothes that doesn't even fit me, or it's not, I mean, you know, you have your favorites that you wear all the time that are like got a hole in the knee, or, you know, it's just faded and they're just comfortable for the house, like pajamas, or, you know, the grubbies you use for cleaning, you know, which, okay, I do have some of those, but sometimes we have a little bit too many things like that and that we're just holding on to. Like, I don't know if I talked about this yet or not. I know I did a few videos that I just deleted because they got messed up, but I did take a bag of some clothes the other day to Savers, and it was hard to even get through the stuff that I was going through, but I found this really, I used to love this shirt. It was like a dress for me. I'm short, 4'11.5", so it fit me like above the knee, but like it was like real flowy shirt, and it had like little fake diamond little things here, and it was like a 3/4 sleeve, black, and I have a gray one. If I find the gray one, because I haven't seen that yet, I'm probably going to get rid of it as well, but I'll get a picture of that and kind of show you what I'm talking about. I've had those probably for, see, we've been out here a little over 6 years. So I got that. I probably have had them for 10 years, if not longer, 12 years. I don't know. I got them at Walmart. And at that time, you know, it's like they fit big anyway because I always buy my stuff big. And now I looked at it, I'm like, there's no way. That's like 3 sizes too big for me. But I wanted to hold on to it because of that anxiety, because of that fear of, well, you really liked it and whatever, you know, whatever the reasoning was. And I'm like, what if I gain all the weight back? What if I, you know, it's like I'm setting myself up for failure, and because of fear, because there's even a fear there of losing more weight. Like I'm stuck right now, which is driving me nuts. I think I did lose another couple pounds. I don't know. I have to weigh myself again, but just from weighing myself at my dad's yesterday, with clothes on and everything, and without shoes though, I was a little less than I was at the doctor, you know, a few days ago, like about 2 or 3 pounds less. So we'll see. Like I said, I will get to that. I'm going off on all kinds of squirrel trails over here. So let's get to the book. So the poem that she has here is called Night Fears. From here there is no night sky. Birds are silent in distant trees. Without a star I can't wish or find north. Old ghosts who wish me harm visit. I am melting into it as fear squeezes against my chest, calling me into oblivion. If I am allowed one prayer, even if I don't believe a word of it, as my throat clenches, I pray the dawn is coming, and in the gray light I will hear a bird sing. I will endure this night, filled with things known and unknown, trusting the morning star will rise, and love will push fear aside. You know, when I think of that, it reminds me of all those nights where I would wake up with nightmares, you know, just that couldn't sleep because that anxiety and that fear was just it felt like it's squeezing my chest, like my heart was hurting, I have a headache, you know, all of the things. And there's always something about the darkness. I think for most of us, it's just, especially when you are a person who deals with anxiety and worry and all of that, it feels like that's the time that it gets so much worse. And at least that is this case for me. Now, granted, it is getting better through, you know, working through things, through prayer, of course, and just just allowing God to work in me. Hold on. You okay, girl? Jeannie? She's struggling over there with something. One of our old babies. Oh, she probably went out and ate some grass or something, because she's like having some issues. She's okay, I guess. Just sometimes our older girls have some problems some days. Overall, they're doing really well for being 16 and 17 years old, but they do have some issues when they eat and things like that. Their teeth, I think, bother them. It's sad to see them get old. Let's get back to the book before I go off another trail about my cats. Fear keeps a troubled vigilant, or let's start that again. Fear keeps a troubled vigil at night and wraps our brightest days in a shroud. It is hard to accept the harsh events of this world that leave us vulnerable and afraid. Sometimes we succumb to that fear-filled place inside. Being afraid is normal, and like pain, fear can be a hard but valuable teacher on our path to healing. Of all the obstacles to healing we have discussed, fear can outweigh all the others. And you know, I've read this before, and I've never actually counted them for myself, but I've read something where it says in the Bible, it says, do not fear 365 times. And, you know, the interesting thing is, you know, there's 365 days in a year, in our year. And it just makes you wonder, you know, like, it's a reminder every day, do not fear, we're to trust him. Do not worry, because we can't do anything. Worry is just, you know, trying to get somewhere on a flat tire. It's not going to work, you know, and he's the only one that can do anything for us. Like, we do have our part, yes, but the worries of the past, or the what ifs of the future, or the worries of what may happen, or even in the present moment, sometimes we're just stuck with, oh my goodness, what can happen in 5 minutes? I mean, that's still the future, right? And we're still living in it instead of living in the moment. And, you know, it's just, we need to remember that he's with us. He's our refuge in time of trouble. He's guiding us. We have the Holy Spirit within us, and we don't need to fear. One thing she says here, one of the greatest lessons that she's learned at Thistle Farms is, the greatest to work and pray past my fears. The courage and faith it takes to work past fears offers the rewards of new life, inspiration, and hope. To me, this is a culmination of how love heals. We remove barrier after barrier and feel the great healing power of love. And you know, we have these fears, you know, like, if you're walking in a forest, you're doing something like that, you have a, you know, that underlying fear of being aware of your surroundings. Like, you know, be sure there's no bears around or coyotes around here, or we have mountain lions. Just to kind of be aware, like, I mean, there's rattlesnakes out here, and, you know, just that healthy kind of fear that keeps you aware of what's going on, but not a fear that debilitates you. And that's the fear that is not useful. See, being aware of things and having that, you know, healthy fear of things, even like driving a car, you have to be aware of what's going on around you, be aware of other drivers, be aware of how you're driving, be aware of other people on the road. Like recently, there was some New Mexico DOT workers on I-25, not too far from here, going towards my hometown, and a young girl from around here, in her 20s, and another girl with her, they hit a orange cone on the road, and they hit two of the men that were working. Both men are okay overall. One of them, though, did have quite a few of, I think, like, I don't know if certain bones were broken and all that, because when we passed going the opposite direction, we saw one of the men on the ground laying down, and there was another few workers and stuff, but one of them that was standing up had also gotten hit, but I think just had some bumps and bruises, scratches and things. Her claim was she didn't see them, or didn't realize she had hit them. She looked to her dog in the back or something like that. I don't know what the whole story is. That's all I saw. But you know, it's being aware of our surroundings, and that healthy fear of, you know, it's respect for the road, respect for the car that you're driving, respect for other people on the road. It's a fear of, what if I look to the side? What if I am distracted with something? Like so many people now distracted with their phones. You can hurt somebody. And I think sometimes having that fear of, oh, if I pick up my phone, something bad could happen in the car. Like, not that it's debilitating, but just like a reminder. Don't do this. Be aware of your surroundings. Now, that's useful, and it can protect us from things that can do us harm, or where we can cause some harm, you know. But then there are fears that can stifle us, fears that keep us trapped in a comfort zone that doesn't expand our wisdom, our ability to love, or our understanding of the world. Those fears live in all of us, and they keep us separated from love. To find God's healing truth, we must recognize when our fears are stumbling blocks. What's interesting about that to me is when we say, you know, we believe, right? We believe in God, we believe in the Bible. We know his promises for us. We know the end of the story. We know that he is for us and not against us. We know that we've taken our sins and all of our past issues before him and laid him at his feet. He's forgiven us. He's given us new life. He's given us the Holy Spirit that to live within us and guide us. And yet we hold back from his love because we're afraid that we're not good enough, or we messed up too much, or whatever it is. And that keeps us stuck in a place where we're not allowing ourselves to be the people he has called us to be. He's given each of us a purpose in our life. Each of us, and even in each season of our life, we have a different purpose. Maybe the same gifts that he's given each of us, but in each season of our life, we use those gifts differently for a purpose. But if we're held back by fear, we don't want to talk with them. We don't want to put ourselves out there. We don't, whatever it is. And I know I struggle with stuff like that. And it got worse as I got older. And I think a lot of that was just because things got harder, and because of chronic illness that I didn't know that I was already dealing with, made things a little harder for me, and I didn't realize what was going on. And now that I'm realizing it, I'm trying to become more aware of how I'm responding to things, and leave them at the foot of the cross. Give them to the only one who can bear those kind of burdens for me. She talks here about when she first opened Thistle Farms, and she says, I remember walking down some of the most dangerous streets in Nashville to reach out to some of the women I wanted to serve. I felt real fear, but I knew that I needed to do this work in order to be faithful to my calling. I found that gathering a community diminished the fear, and that I could walk with fear alongside me. So yes, we're going to fear things. So like if your gift, your calling is to help people, to reach out to people, to share the gospel, to share love, to share whatever it is that you've been called to do. I don't know if this is
crooked or if it's, I cannot tell. It feels like, I don't know. I don't know if my phone's crooked or what is going on, so hopefully this doesn't look funny.
But just having, you have the Lord with you. You have God with you. They're with you all the time. He goes before you. He goes behind you. He goes with you. You have the Holy Spirit living within you. He's given you a calling. And if we believe that that's true, then we have nothing to fear. And even if we do have that little, because there is putting yourself in dangerous situations, like what she talks about here. She's helping people who, these women who have lived on the streets, who are addicts of some sort or another, who are living lives of, street lives, let's just put it that way, and they need help. But it's a fearful place to go out to and talk to these people and reach out to these people, because we don't know how they're going to react. You don't know if someone who is on drugs is going to react in in a way that can hurt you. But when the Lord puts a calling upon your heart and you pray and you take that, you take the Holy Spirit with you, you go and you trust him, and you find those people who have the calling, the same calling as you do, and you build, like you said, that community, take them with you, go together. It makes things a lot easier. And fear, even though it's still going to be there, you can overcome it by doing what he's called you to do. Fear can be both protective and problematic. We learn from Proverbs that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. That's Proverbs 9:10. That is a healthy fear that puts us in a right relationships and shows us how fear can be used to our benefit. But the angels of the Bible often told the people of Israel, fear not. So it seems the path to healing is about discerning which fear to embrace and which fear to flee. As we seek healing, we are called to follow our fear, because past that fear lies all the other aspects of healing we are seeking: freedom, mercy, and joy. When we bump into fear, we can use it as a signal that this is a good place to stop and take stock. So the next time you feel fear rising in your throat, ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? Am I getting ready to step on a snake? Or am I scared to grow deeper into faith and be free? Will this fear stop me from learning something new? Will it close a door that I need to walk through? Will it hurt someone else? Such moments are climactic. Yeah, climactic. I was like, wait, how does she spell it? And they point to all the lessons we have discussed in this book. There are moments when we think that our past, our grief, our need to forgive, and our daily practices. There are moments when we think about our past, our grief, our need to forgive, and our daily practices. When we discern that the fear before us is a stumbling block, trying to move past it can feel undoable. Personally, I can't will myself to overcome fear, pretend I'm making peace with it, or let it go. Me either. I don't take comfort in the words, this too shall pass, or we shall overcome. I just feel scared. That doesn't mean I stop trying. It means I need to keep trying. I need to keep fear from having the last word on how I live. For example, if you are afraid to fly, it doesn't mean you stop flying. It means that you need to figure out how to fly. Are there things you can do to ease your anxiety? Are there people who can help you? Are there others who have overcome this who can teach you? Fear is cunning. It can crop up on us in the middle of the night or visit us in our weakest place and time, and we can't avoid it. But we can treat our fear with compassion, trust that we can either overcome or learn from them, and respect their power in our daily lives. Learning to live with our fears and doing things beyond our fears requires us to be brave on our healing path. So, all this reminds me of this is how we take stock. Are we fearing? Is this a fear that we really need to step back from and get away from? Like she said, are we going to step on a snake? Well, leave, right? Get away from there. Am I going to fall in the hole? Am I walking too close to the edge of the cliff? Step back. But then there's times, like she talks about in her calling, going to reach out to people. It's scary. Doing these YouTube videos is scary. It's scary. And part of the reason why April and May have been very sparse in my videos is because of that fear. I got very busy and I couldn't really sit down and put together a video. I started fearing, well, I can never do this again. I'm not going to be able to do this again. It's going to be too hard to restart over again. And so today I thought, because I have one that I did a while back, like a week or so ago, that I forgot about. It's the chapter 13 of this book, so I will put that up today. This one will go up in a couple of days. But I just sat here and I thought, you know what? I could be busy. I mean, I have laundry going, but I know that's going and I can hang it up and I can deal with that. And I could sit around doing busy work, or that isn't something productive for me. I can sit and watch YouTube or whatever and not do the thing that I really enjoy this. I really enjoy doing videos. They help me see things. They help me become more aware of what's going on in my life. And, and I just, it's something I enjoy, but like in the past, I've allowed fear to take a lot of stuff away from me. So today I thought, you know what? No, I'm not going to allow the fear to step in and take this away. I'm going to do it. And even if it takes me a while to build back up to where I was or whatever, I have a lot of thoughts about the channel that maybe I can implement soon. So now the next part of this is living with fear. She talks about how several of the women in Thistle Farms have been in and out of prison most of their lives. So they talk about the fear of being arrested and the fear of being released because, I'm sure that when you spend time in prison, especially a good chunk of time, then are let back out into the world, whatever the reason was that you were put in there, it's hard to get back out and not go back to those things because that's the comfort zone, right? And so those fear, that fear is always lurking in the shadows during times of crisis and stress. So here she talks about one woman who, she says she lived in fear of the violence, sickness, and dangers on the street. She said that sometimes she feared being out of prison more than being behind bars because in there, she said, I never got
raped or never get raped
or beaten and I can sleep. Out here, I don't know if I will make it through the night. So that tells you there, the way fear comes on us because of our situation. And I don't know this woman's reasons for being where she was. A lot of times it's things that happen to us that are out of our hands, and then there's also our own choices and decisions that put us somewhere. Makes it no less scary, makes them no less of a person, because we all do this stuff. We can all end up there. Most of us are one step away at all times of becoming homeless, of becoming whatever, some type of addict, some type of something. We don't know. We don't know when that one thing could break us. And so hearing about her fear, though, it really puts things in perspective. She lived this life for whatever reason that she was on the streets. Things were happening to her, breaking her spirit. And it's really hard to overcome those things because when you don't have any community help either. You don't have people who are reaching out to you. And even when you do, some people aren't ready to leave those situations. And that's just the way things are. We have to be ready as well. Like even us, like for me, I had to be ready to begin my journey to healing. I had to be ready to put food into perspective, to put exercise into perspective, to look at the overall picture of my health and actually face it instead of just like, okay, I know I have that, but I'm pretending I'm fine. And that's the same for people who have addictions, people who live on the streets. They have to face whatever it is too, before they're able to truly receive the help that they need, because you have to want it, and I think like it's, the fact that she was put in prison for whatever reason, sometimes that is a bit of a safe place for some people. It keeps them from those things, and maybe it gives you time and to get things in perspective. And a lot of prisons will offer, I've heard like prison ministries and different forms of counseling that can help them. So she says here, the entire first 6 months she was at Thistle Farm, she felt fear, not because anything bad was going to happen, but because so much bad had happened. Her fears would not let her believe she could live differently. See, that is Satan. That is just the way he works. Because even for us who maybe haven't lived a life on the streets, haven't been addicted to drugs, haven't been in situations like hers, we still have that fear of something happens. We have something happening to us in our lives, whatever kind of situations we've been in, loss of family members or close friends or whatever, or we get sick, we have chronic illness, whatever's going on. And it's like those fears of all the bad, that has happened, keeps us stuck, thinking this is it, this is how I'm going to live the rest of my life. And it's been on my mind lately a lot, because I have not felt well. It's been a while, that I've been in the ups and downs of all the things going on, but recently, since April, I have been dealing with what we thinking is the Hashimoto's flare up. I don't know how long these things last. it feels like I'm getting better, like I'm feeling a little better, a little bit more energy, but still, I'm scared. I'm scared to eat because I don't know if my stomach's gonna hurt, because that pain I got when what we assume was going on was the oral medication I was taking for my thyroid, because I had switched it to something new. It had a certain thing in it, it's a more natural one, so it had a certain thing in it that the autoimmune part attacks. And because it was an oral med, it was attacking my stomach, my intestines, whatever, right? So for a long time, I couldn't eat without that fear. And granted, with the Mounjaro that I'm taking for my diabetes, I do have some issues with my stomach as well. But I was letting fear hold me back from eating, period. I didn't want to eat anything. Like, it's scary. Like, even now, like, it's already, I don't even know what time, probably close to 11 or so. And I've had about half a cup of coffee. That's it. A little bit of water. But I'm hungry. I can feel that I'm hungry. And I know my body needs to eat because of what I'm dealing with, all of my things going on at once. Fasting for me is not a good idea right now because my body is not functioning properly. And because of that, my fasting causes my body to go into this shock and it holds on to all the weight. That's probably why I'm stuck, because, but like, it's the fear of all the things, getting sick, of being like, thinking I'm gonna have to have surgery for my gallbladder because that's what I thought it was going on. All these things going on, and I don't want to. It's a fear, and then it's a fear of, I'm stuck. I'm gonna gain all the weight back. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I think, what if I just don't eat? What if I just, whatever? And it's a fear I'm trying right now to overcome, which is really hard. But, reading through this chapter has really opened my eyes to some of the things that are going on. So here she says, as this woman became more trusting with time and with tools to live, she became less fearful, inspiring all of us to be brave and learn to live with fear until love moves it aside. She said it helped stay busy, to have friends, and to develop the skills to see into fear, so she could see the difference between fear keeping her from stepping on a snake and fear that is just a stumbling block in her way. And I think that is so important for us to do. Take stock at that moment when we're feeling the fear. Is this fear productive? Is this something telling me I need to step back? I need to get away from this? Or is this a fear that's just because of past traumas, because of whatever's going on in our lives at the time, and because Satan just likes to mess with us, because he knows our calling. He knows that God has a gift, has given us each a gift, each a calling. And if we live out those gifts he's given us, and we live the life that he's put before us with all the promises, and that we're doing the things that he's given, us to do, then Satan has no place in our lives, right? He can't hold us back. And what he wants most is to destroy us and take us with him. And fear is a very useful tool that he has. And so we need to remember, do not fear. I don't know how many times, supposedly it's 365 times in here. And just, if we truly, I was telling my husband the other day, I was sitting there thinking, we're told to live out the fruit of the Spirit. He gives us a list of fruit of the Spirit. The whole armor of God, he gives us what that is. He tells us that we are to live a certain way, love him with all our heart, all our mind, all our soul, and love our neighbor as ourselves. And then the list is, don't commit adultery, don't, there's fornication, there's, don't commit murder, don't be covetous, don't gossip, don't, there's all these things, right? And the excuse is, well, I'm just human and I fail all the time. That is true. Yes, we will fail. But a lot of times use that as the excuse to just not try, to just not allow him to work in us, so that we let go of those things that hold us back. And a lot of them are real easy. Gossip is real easy to fall into, because you're sitting together, you're oh, I heard of this. And it's never, you got to be very careful with that, right? And it's here, it's in the word. And if he tells us not to do it, then he'll give us the tools. So if he tells us do not fear, he gives us the tools. We just need to be aware of them and use them and trust him. The next section is beyond our fear. And here it says, only as we truly engage our fears do we learn the power of love. We may never completely overcome our fears. Great heroes have felt fear as much as those of us who have cowered in the shadows. What makes someone heroic is their ability to recognize fear and to trust in something stronger than the fear. Love doesn't abandon us in our fears. God tells us, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. And that comes from Isaiah 41:10. Of all the lessons I have learned, recognizing and discerning my fears has been one of the greatest. Fear doesn't trip me up. I am ready to meet my fears. I'm ready to meet my fear. My fears have taught me what it means to need others, how to listen as I sit by the bedsides of the dying, and the old ghosts from my past have no power over me. And, I think of that, and I think a lot of times our independence from others, I could do this myself, I'll fix this myself, is really fear of being humble and saying, I can't do this myself, I need help. The fact that God created the family unit by saying, he created man and woman to become one, Ehad, in him, as it's beautiful, and it's because he knew we would need each other. We complement each other. We can do things for our husbands, and our husbands can do things for us. It's the same in a family. We need to recognize that we need each other and be humble enough to ask for help, and also be there to help when we are needed. Fear is one of the biggest obstacles in healing, and so it may be our greatest teacher. She says here, when I was flying with a new resident of Magdalene recently, she leaned across me as she gazed intently at the night sky and hallowed full moon. There was a blanket of backlit clouds below. Because she had been on the streets since 7th grade, she knew precious little about the world. It was magnificent. She looked up at me and said that she had never considered how there was a sky above the clouds. She told me that seeing the heavens at night took the fear of the night she had held for so long and cast it aside. I admired her so much for saying that. She had been afraid, and that she was feeling the joy of that fear being set aside. Whenever she gets afraid from now on, she will have that vision of the world opening up to her, and how she saw the glory of God's creation and felt healed. On love's healing path, fear will always move out of the way, because always, love is more powerful than fear. Love, as we have seen throughout this book, moves mountains. It sits by us daily. It is filled with mercy and compassion, and it reaches across the world and through time. Love expands our hearts. It sits still with us. It grieves with us, and it heals us. Love gives us a glimpse of the glorious heavens and the fearful valley. Love gives us ears to hear the angels say once again to us, fear not, for God is with you. This is just another step in the journey to healing, realizing that we can sit with our fear. We can learn from it and start being aware of which fear is a productive fear and which one is just holding us back. So if you have any prayer requests, any questions, anything you'd like to share in the comments below, I'd love to hear from you guys. We'll see you guys in the next one. God bless you. Bye.